there! If you're thinking about buying a house, you might wonder how much house can you afford? So we're going to talk about that today. First, let's start off with the 28-36 rule. What that means is that if you look at your gross monthly income, the rule of thumb is your house expenses should not be more than 28%, and your overall debt, and that includes all debts, should not be over 36%. If you have a gross monthly income of $4,500, that means that your home-related expenses should not be more than $1,260 per month. That's 28%. And your total debt expenses should not be more than $1,620 per month. That's 36%. So let's define what I mean by those. The total home expenses is not just your mortgage payment. It also includes taxes, property taxes, don't forget those, and homeowner's insurance. So we call that PITI, P-I-T-I, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. That should not be more than 28% of your gross monthly income. How about that other loans, other debt obligation, that 36%? That includes any kind of loans you got. So that's car loans, that's student loans, that's your home, your mortgage, your rent, whatever, as well as credit cards. So altogether, that should not be more than 36% of your gross monthly income. So when I say gross, that means not your take home that you have in your hand, because that's after taxes, usually for most people, but that's the amount of your salary, your income before taxes, okay? So that's that 28 and 36% rule. Now you might say, Laura, well, wait a minute, why should that be so low? What else am I going to do with my money? Well, don't forget you have other financial goals, or you should. I would encourage you to do so. So you need to have money and availability to put towards those other financial goals. That'd be goals like retirement, goals perhaps like a vacation, a college education for a son or daughter, lots of financial goals that you should think about that you should be able to incorporate into your budget. And by following that 28-36 rule, you should be able to. Also, you want to make sure that you remember taxes. Remember, I said that was a gross monthly number. So taxes are going to take a bite out of that. Usually for most people, it's going to be between 20 and 30% that you need to think about for taxes. So that's quite a chunk. And then finally, remember that you want to live within your means. That's the way to have a successful financial life, is to live within your means. So all together, all of those things add up pretty quickly. A few other things to think about when you are thinking about purchasing a home. Just because you're pre-approved for a certain amount of mortgage doesn't mean you should take that full amount. The key to really knowing how much home you can afford involves a few factors. First is understanding your monthly expenses, like we just outlined. Think about your other debt obligations that you have as well. And you also want to live and be able to buy groceries, maybe eat out occasionally, entertain yourself, afford medications, maybe you have pets. You have a lot of expenses to think about. So get a good handle on your monthly budget before you go out and apply for a mortgage. Now, the terms of the mortgage are really significant, guys. So understand what those mean. Probably the most significant part of your mortgage terms is going to be your interest rate. Now, interest rates are partially affected by what the Federal Reserve does. And in recent years, they have increased interest rates. So that's made mortgage affordability a little bit of a challenge. Not much you can do about that, but there are other factors that influence your mortgage rate that you do have control over. First is your credit score. Higher credit scores mean more favorable interest rates. So be sure to be keeping up with your credit score, know what that is, and know how to improve it before you apply for a mortgage. Another factor that is related to that is your debt to income ratio, DTI. The more favorable mortgage rates are going to be given to those who have a DTI of less than 36%. So let's break down how you calculate your debt to income ratio. Take your total monthly debt, and that means that payment towards car loans, student loans, credit cards, any kind of debt that you have. Add that up and divide that by your total gross monthly income. What you're aiming for is less than 36%. Mortgage lenders might look okay on 40% or a little bit more, but at 50%, nope, you're not going to be able to qualify for a mortgage very easily. And probably you're not in the best financial shape to be able to afford a mortgage anyway. So work on paying down debt. That's going to be a key factor in getting that debt to income ratio to a more favorable place before you apply for a mortgage. And the last factor to consider is the down payment that you can make towards a home purchase. The bigger the down payment, the less that a lender is going to have to loan to you, and the less that you'll end up paying in interest over time. So if you can make a sizable down payment, that's what you really are looking for. This is also a great opportunity to practice paying a mortgage. Let's say you think your mortgage is going to be about $1,000 a month for the type of home you're looking for. Then start practicing by saving $1,000 a month into a savings account and see how that goes. Can you afford the other items that you usually buy in each month? Does that fit with your budget? At the end of the day, you'll know how much you can really afford to be putting towards a mortgage each month, and you'll have a little bit of a nest egg to start towards that larger down payment. Another tip when you are looking for a home is to think about location. Prices are really going to differ across various parts of the country, across various parts of your state, across cities, zip codes. So take a look around, shop around before you get entirely set on one specific location. You might find that a different location that you had not been considering was far more affordable and maybe could fit within your budget. So be sure to shop around and think about the space that you actually need. Do you really need that many bedrooms or a great room or a dining room that you might never use? Think about the space you actually need and where you will be living, where you will be dwelling in that house of yours. Pro tip as well, are you considering a condo perhaps? The median price on condos is cheaper than on a single family home. So if that is a feasible option for you, maybe consider getting a condo rather than a single family home. Side tip, you also wouldn't have to mess with yard maintenance and a lot of the outside maintenance that you would when you are a homeowner. So it could add to additional savings. But of course, you do want to check out those HOA expenses that pay for those outdoor expenses. So it is a trade-off, but consider condos in your search if you're looking for affordability. Overall, paying for a home is something that you really need to consider as a foundation for your financial planning. I hope these tips have really helped you in how you might think about paying for a home. There are also a lot of mortgage calculators out there on the internet, so play around with a few of those too to get a feel for what might be affordable for you.